it's not the music. It's like it's the words
Yep.
of what's being said.
Yes,
That's the
sir.
posture of your heart.
Yeah, yeah.
So I see that's one of the ways that you draw near to God. It's like a love language, you know.
Yeah.
And when you're verbally speaking that, you're there's power in our words.
You're
And
teaching
you're
it to your heart,
declaring it-
yeah.
You're declaring it over your life.
Yeah.
You know, it changes that. Worship changes the atmosphere.
And there's been a few times where I've been reading the Bible, just knowing I'm not getting anything from it. And I just remember something my dad taught us is like when you're reading the Bible, you should read it out loud because it helps you just retain it. And it's just something about the spoken words as well. And I'm like, okay.
I think too, you know, there's different like giftings and tendencies in the body of Christ. You know, there's people that tend to lean towards different offices of ministry type. Like we're wired differently. Well, what are you drawn to in the Bible? So some people are really drawn to like reading the books of like the prophets. Some people are really drawn to like the evangelism, the gospel. So one thing is if you're like struggling, you can figure out like, well, where am I naturally drawing? And then just press into that. Because, so for example, like my wife loves all the books of the prophets and I like them, but it's not like my go-to. So she can like read Isaiah or Jeremiah and she's like on fire. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like good, but I like this.
It's not jumping out at me.
Right. And so it's just like figuring out, I think in those times, you know, JP, like figuring out like that's a great starting point for someone is like, what's your tendencies and then press into that. And obviously we want to read the whole Bible because we need the whole thing. So I'm not saying to ignore the other stuff.
Right.
And then one other, just as you were saying that, JP, one practical thing, sometimes if I'm feeling dry when I'm reading, I do exactly what you do, and I stop reading, and I play worship music, and I start worshiping, and then like after a song or two, once I kind of feel the way I'm going to say it's like that atmosphere shift, I leave the worship music on, and I start reading the Bible.
Yeah. It's hard to, like, if you listen to just the song Gratitude by Brandon Lake,
Yeah.
like, put that song on repeat and tell me your attitude hasn't changed after the third time.
Oh, yeah.